Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. If you're already a subscriber, I appreciate you. Thanks so much for always tapping in with me every week. Today, I just want to talk to you guys about investing in yourself for the long haul. I'll kind of go over what's important, why is it important, and then some of the areas that you can invest in yourself. So if that interests you, man, please stay tuned. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Michael A. Benson here, and on this channel, I focus on giving men the knowledge and the tools that they need to control the lives that they desire. If you're a man looking to better himself, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video every week. So investing in yourself, I don't think it's a big secret that in order for you to grow, as a human being, in order for you to grow as a member of society, as a brother or a parent or a cousin or whatever, you're gonna have to make some changes in your life, right? And you're gonna have to resort to some type of investment that is going to either gain you more knowledge, gain you more experience, skills, whatever the case may be. And so I thought it was a great topic to kind of touch on, just because I have a lot of experience with it. I remember early on in kind of my self-development journey, I didn't really know much about investing in myself, right? Other than getting a job, and then that investment was them going through the training with the new hire and stuff. But as far as like investing in myself outside of a work atmosphere and wanting to do it because it's something that I wanted to better myself for the long run, I really didn't have too much experience with it. And if you guys have been following me for some time now, I've shared with you guys my story of how I got started in self-development and currently where I am now in coaching. But yeah, man, like investing in yourself is super, super important. I remember, again, as I was sitting on my stairs, this was probably, I don't know, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that, and just had got laid off. And I remember sitting on my stairs thinking like, man, what am I going to do? Like, why am I here? This is not the life that I wanted for myself. Things aren't going the way I want them to. A marriage isn't working. Careers aren't working out. I'm broke. Like what's transpiring? What's happened? And from that point on, I kind of really understood like, look, if I'm going to reach the level that I want to and achieve the things that I want to, I got to start like investing in myself, right? I got to start bettering myself. I can't rely on, my bosses and my family and friends and anyone else or any other external circumstances to elevate me, right? And to get me to that next level. So, I understood pretty quickly like, okay, it's not about them, it's about me. What do I need to do? What can I do to better myself? And obviously, the number one answer to that was investing in myself. So, I know firsthand about investing in oneself and utilizing, different tools to do so. I know firsthand about, when it comes to the financial investment on some things, it could be overwhelming, right? It could be very stressful because you just don't know if it has any value, right? You're not able to see the value. The only thing you're seeing is your commitment of a financial amount. But again, not everything that you invest in requires a dollar amount. So we're going to get into a couple of different areas in which you can invest in that don't necessarily require you to have money, but some do. Let's kind of break this down a little bit. So I'll give you my example, and then you guys can, kind of think of that for yourself. But for me, I knew when I wanted to invest, my biggest thing was my mentality, like my mindset. I knew better. I just didn't know like how to change the way that I was, right? And how I can change the way I was operating and the things I was thinking about and the limiting beliefs I was telling myself that weren't true. I didn't really know how to go about, readjusting and reorganizing things in my head. But I knew that mindset, right? I knew that if I can change the way I think about things and have more positivity in my life, right? And release stress and bad energy, that I would be better off. So I knew that mindset was one of the things that I needed to tap into. And for me, when it came to investing in regards to my mindset, obviously reading books was one thing, listening to podcasts. I would listen to people like Les Brown, Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, right? I would listen to all of those guys and their YouTube channels and their coaching courses and things of that nature. So I would listen to a lot of that stuff in the morning. Pretty much whenever I was in the car, I was blasting something motivational to really kind of prepare my mind for, okay, every day I want to be fine tuning my mind, and the things that I listen to is what I want to consume and kind of, recreate within my own head, right? I only wanted to be listening to positive things and to things that inspired me and motivated me. So I did that again through books and podcasts, and things of that nature and things of that nature. The second part that I really wanted to invest in was my body, right? So that was more so like my health, right? So the three things were mind, body, and soul for me. And so I talked about the mind. The body was more so just, again, preparing my own body, right? So it was working out in the gym. It was eating right, doing things like that. Self-care, right? So like grooming myself, making sure I'm having, using face scrubs and moisturizer to take care of my skin, and, just all of that stuff was another big factor for me, because again, I knew that obviously along with my mind, you start to pick up new tools and techniques, right? And you start to understand the importance of not just your mind's important, but everything about you is important, right? And the way that you treat yourself, the way that you care for yourself obviously increases, your emotional output, right? And your feelings and your thought process. So it all goes together, right? That's why it's called mind, body, and soul. Because, if you have alignment between those three, you find connection between all three, right? And you feel grounded. So that's why I wanted to make sure that I was investing within, the mind, body, and soul. And the soul portion was mainly just meditating and really kind of tapping into spirituality. I was never really raised to be a big religious person. My grandma, grew up Baptist, so she would take us to church here and there, but it was never really something that I grasped early on. Once I got older, I really started to question things. And again, this is not about religion, but just so more that this is how I got to my spiritual path, and really finding spirituality felt more connected. I felt more connected with. And so that's the path that I took. And so again, through prayer, meditation, and things of that nature, and journaling, really just kind of bringing myself, creating more awareness within my soul, and leaving that negativity out, and stuff like that. So those three areas was where I wanted to focus. And I knew that, by focusing on those three areas, everything else that we do in life that comes with life, is going to come along with that, right? So like, I knew that if I took care of my mind, right, through limiting beliefs and incantations and, positive energy and things of that nature, I knew that, okay, I would make better decisions when it comes to finances, right? For the most part, or at least I would be self-aware and cognizant, like, okay, I'm not this good in the finance area. I need to go seek help, right, to better that area. So I knew that, like I said, if I was able to upgrade my mindset, things along that path in life, right? Finances and relationships and all that stuff, those things are a part of life. They would initially get better as well, right? Or at least I would be able to create more awareness around those areas, which would then lead me to wanting to invest in finances, or lead me to wanting to invest in, creating better relationships, whether that's, with a partner, or if that's through friends or family or whatever it is. So really for you, my suggestion is just find some areas in which you want to invest in, okay? And then take it from there. Like I said, mind, body, and soul is a great kind of compass, right? Or a general start. But if you want to really dig in or hone in on any particular one area in life, then go do that. Like I said, you don't have to, try and do everything and be everything for everyone, right? Just go do what you feel you're maybe lacking, right? Or you can do better in that area, and then just go invest in yourself. I mean, other than what I've shared with you guys already, obviously you guys probably have some notion as to why it's super important to be investing in yourself. And I think it's downright dumb not to. And that's just my personal opinion. But the reason why I feel so strongly about it is because, man, again, if you're wanting to go somewhere in life, if you're wanting to excel, you have to grow. You have to, right? You have to get better. You have to, learn new things and understand new techniques and tools. And if you don't have that foundation, you're going to be lost out here, right? You're going to be looking for other people to give you advice, give you help, and string you along. You know what I mean? So why not build that up for yourself? And in the meantime, you're creating better relationships, and you're just becoming a better person overall, which then creates a huge energy aura around yourself, right? So then you're attracting things to you, right? So now you're attracting finances and money to you, right? You're attracting relationships to you, right? You're attracting all of these good things to you, good vibrations, because you're working or operating on a different frequency. So again, investing in yourself to me is a lifelong journey, right? I don't think, and again, this is just my opinion, but I don't think someone who says, okay, you know what, I'm just going to invest fully in myself this year, that's great and all, and that's a damn good start, but like, what happens the year after, right? Like, are you going to be able to create so much investment in yourself this year alone that it's going to carry you on until you're 90 years old? You know what I mean? Like, I think investing in yourself is a daily thing. It's a weekly thing, a monthly thing, it's a yearly thing, right? You just continue to do it year in and year out. And obviously, as you get older, right, you are able to slow down on those investments, right? So, I'm not saying when you turn 70 years old, you're still taking, courses and going to seminars and stuff like that, like to change your mindset. Like, that's totally awesome. And obviously there's people that do that, but if you feel that you don't need to get there, or you don't have to do that at that time, then you don't have to. But until you're to a point where, even when you're retired, right? Even when you're retired and you're financially well off, and everything is stable, and relationships are good, and life is just amazing, right? And you're just kind of living your dream out. I think even then, you still want to invest in yourself, right? And that could just be the smallest things, like still reading books, right? Still listening to, people that you value their opinion, whatever it may be for you. But I don't think that investing in yourself ever dies down. I don't think that it ever goes away. I don't think that there's ever a certain time period when one should only invest, for. I think it's something that you just continuously do until your days are done. You know what I mean? Or until you fully feel that, you've made it, right? And you've learned everything you can learn, which we all know is not possible, but to each his own, right? So, so just investing continuously year in and year out is going to obviously make you a better person. It's gonna make you have better relationships, and it's just a great thing to do. So what are some things that you can invest in that doesn't necessarily require a financial output? And some will require a financial output. So let's see if we can name a few, right? So, energy, right? There's not any type of financial aspect to investing in your own energy. And that could be in 1,000 different ways of how you reinvest into your own body's energy, right? And that could be through crystal work, right? That could be through just getting enough sleep, right? Like sleeping good, changing your mattress, right? Making sure that you have a good mattress you sleep on, when you go to bed, the things you eat and drink before you go to bed, like all of that affects the energy that you have for the next day, right? And so that's something that you can do for free that's just changing the habits that you have now, right? Time is another one too, right? Like delegating things that are on your task list that you necessarily don't want to do. So like whether you have a business of your own or you don't have a business and you work for someone, are there things that you are doing now that you could, limit the time that you spend on them? Maybe delegate to, maybe a friend can help you or a family member can help you do those things, or just completely get rid of those things all in general if they're not truly serving you and that's something that you don't really want to do, right? Like you can just obviously create more time for yourself, which will then give you more time to do things that you do want to do and that you do enjoy, right? So just reinvesting in your time is obviously a great one too, and it doesn't require any type of financial commitment. Improving your professional skills, right? If you are in a profession, maybe you're a tech of some sort, right? Or you have some particular degree that you honed in some skills on, there are free tools out there, YouTube being one of them, that you can go and learn more about your particular profession and, enhance your skills that you already have, right? So like I said, there's a numerous amount of areas in which you can invest yourself in. It really just comes down to what's important to you. What do you want to invest in? What do you enjoy? What do you like? What do you want to get better at? What do you want to know more of, right? And then just go find those things to do. And so this isn't something that someone's forcing you to do. All of these choices that you're making are your own decisions, right? These are your own decisions that you want to make, right? And no one is forcing you to do those things. And so whenever you make a decision and it comes from a place of want from within yourself, you're 9 times out of 10 going to make that decision versus you being told by someone else to do something. It's not going to go over too well. So any decision that you make that comes from yourself, you obviously know that you have true intentions of moving forward with it. All right, you have a true want of actually, wanting to do that thing. So again, just think of the things that you enjoy, that you want to do, from your own self, from your own wants, not from anyone else's, whether they told you or they said something to you or they hinted something, like whatever. Like if it comes from you, I truly want to be a better husband, and that's coming from me, right? So then that's what I'm going to do. Not because my wife hinted some things or I feel that she feels a certain type of way or whatever, right? It's coming from me, and I'm more likely to follow through with those than if it were to come from somebody else. Another great thing to point out too is that while you're investing, whatever area you're investing in, it doesn't matter. Some of the, I would say, intangible skills that you get from that are increasing your confidence, which actually, depending on how you measure it, could be tangible as well. But increasing your confidence, right? And increasing your self-esteem, like those are huge boosts that you can get from any type of investment that you make on yourself. Because again, when you are doing something, when you're action oriented and you're learning something, right, you're boosting your confidence in that particular area. You're boosting your confidence to make decisions in general, right? And you're boosting your self-esteem because you're bettering yourself, right? And you're becoming, a greater version of what you were the day before, right? So those are just a couple of intangible, tangible, depending on how you measure it, skills or results that you can get just from investing in yourself. So, that goes a long way, you know what I mean? And so if you break it down and you look at all the other intangible skills that you could get just from investing, it's remarkable, right? So it does a lot, not just for the things that you're directly going after, but like even the intangible things that you don't necessarily see. But your behavior changes, right? And you, like I said, you just become a whole new different person because you're operating from a different mindset. You're operating from a different perspective because you're gaining more knowledge and more importantly, you're utilizing that knowledge. You're putting it to work. That's the most important thing. So I would tell you, man, like investing in yourself is great. I would do it until the end of time, and you can't go wrong with that. Hey, quick question for you guys. Please put your comments down below, but what have you done thus far to invest in yourself? So let me share with you guys some perspective in regards to some of the things that I've invested in. Well, and we'll start with the financial aspect. So when I was transitioning into careers and really trying to find out what my passion, what my purpose was, what really lit me up, it was helping other people achieve their goals, right? And so I invested in a Tony Robbins life certification course. It was $5,000. I think the course lasted 6 months or something like that. But to me at that time, having not invested a large amount of money, that was a large amount of money to me. At that time before, I was like, dude, $5,000. And then I would have to go out and run my own business, and I've never been an entrepreneur. That was super scary for me. That was super scary for me. But I knew there was an inkling within my body. I knew that this is the path that I wanted to go on. And it wasn't for the money. The first time ever. It was more so for the growth and the contribution that I was going to get from doing that particular career, right? Helping people out, making better men, better women amongst us. And so that was very rewarding to me. And so, the $5,000 was scary, but I was like, you know what? This, it just feels right. So that was one of the investments. I recently just made another investment towards my coaching business, and that one was $12,000. And that one was scary, right? Because I'm talking $12,000. I don't have $12,000, just lying around. I can just throw at some trainings and stuff like that. But again, it's aligned with what I truly want in life and the life that I envision for myself. And so, yeah, the initial investment was scary, but it felt right? And it still feels right? To to move forward with that, even though it was such a large investment, because I know that what will happen, as I go through this training, through this course, the financial gain that I'll have from making that investment will be tenfold. I'll make all my money back and then some. But that initial ooh, do I take this big of a risk on myself? Do I invest this much money on myself? And those are some of the questions that some of you guys might have or will eventually go through. But like I said, if it feels right within you and you feel called to do it, and I'll tell you, 1000%, anything that you do in which gives you fear, right? And you become scared and nervous, you get the bubble guts in your stomach, right? And you're like, I don't know. That's where you should mostly invest in yourself. That's the time when you should just move all in forward with that, because that feeling is working twofold. One, it's like your brain, right? Your primitive brain is telling you, no, we're not safe. That's not safe. Don't do it. You're going to feel a certain type of way. Back off. Don't do it. And then the second thing from that same feeling is like, yes, do it. This is what you need to move to the next level. This is what you need to grow. And so whenever you are faced with a circumstance or a situation in which you're scared and you're like, man, I don't know if I should do this, and this just seems crazy, I don't know, but there's this inkling it kind of feels right though, dude, jump on it. Do it. That's exactly where you need to be in that moment. That's the decision that you need to make. And that's what separates, the people that are successful from the people that, necessarily aren't, right? Or the ones that want to take, want to have a business, and those that don't do anything about it. Those guys they go towards that fear and they push past it, and they just keep pushing past it. And eventually they get to where they want to be. And those that don't, they stay stuck, right? And they live in regret. So, when it comes to investing, if it's a financial means, like I said, if it feels right, but you're also scared at the same time, do it, dude. Do it. Jump into it. Now if you have a fear, and again, you're gonna have to outweigh this yourself, right? There's gonna be so many different scenarios, but I'll just leave it at that. Make sure that if you're facing something that's giving you some fear, but it feels kind of right, go for it. Don't hold back. Listen, if you made it this far through the video, I appreciate you, man. I really, really do. At this time, I want to tell you guys more about my life coaching business, give you guys an opportunity to better yourselves and make an investment within yourselves, right? So I'm a certified life coach, as I mentioned before, and really my job, man, I just love working with men and helping them achieve their goals through shifting their mindset, right? And so helping them become successful by giving them clarity as to where they need to go and where they're currently at and what they need to do. And so I'm going to put down my email in the description below. But again, if you guys are ever interested in coaching and you guys want to work on your goals, and you have things that are holding you back from achieving the things that you want or becoming the person that you want to be, and you want to just have a conversation to see, where coaching could be a good fit for you, let's do it, man. I'm offering free consultations. All you got to do is email me at the email below in the description, and we'll get you on a call and kind of see, what it is that you're trying to accomplish in your life, man. And if that's going to be an area where coaching can really help you excel. I already know the answers to that because I'm in the business of helping people, but you make that decision for yourself. Hey, man, listen up. If you guys like this video, please hit that like button, subscribe, share with everyone that you know. And as always, man, we'll see you on the next video.